VR chat is run by a bunch of idiots. I'm gonna get that straight up.
In a lot of the VR chat communities, there's a lot of self-moderation for sure. So it ain't as lawless as people think it is.
There is no laws in here. Like, you can say or do anything.
It's hard to really moderate and control like a concept like VRChat is.
I get his point. Like, moderation, like the lack of moderation, is really nice. Well, yeah, like it allows people that create all kinds of art to contribute to like this really big, like mural of everyone expressing themselves and stuff. Like I said before, I think that if a platform were to take VRChat and recreate it, like it losing its moderation or whatever, or having moderation on it, sorry, would definitely like make it to where it doesn't feel like VRChat anymore.
I think that VRChat is kind of like a Wild West. Right now, it is unregulated. It doesn't really have really sturdy consequence to things. But I also like that aspect, like I said, the chaoticness of it, because there's a certain tone to where you have to look out for yourself, you have to look out for each other, and you have to look out for your friends and all that. And I think it kind of builds this, I guess, resilience to the internet, and that you have to have when coming into this.
There's like good side of VRC and bad side of VRC, and we don't want to talk about the bad side of VRChat, which would mainly include like VR peers only, or the people that are interested in just straight out saying slurs, racism, and all that. So we don't want to talk about bad side of VRC.
Well, there is a report system, but you get no feedback from it. So you don't know if the guy you reported, if he was spared or if he was banned for a time or something. You don't get any feedback. A few years ago, I was playing League of Legends, and they added like a system where if you report a player, if they do something after a while, you will get a notification like this guy you reported was banned. And that would be good to have here in VRChat, because then your report does something and it's not just floating away into space.
What's your YouTube name? So you can probably like cut this out a little bit too. Go subscribe to Humans in VR. Okay.
Unfortunately, in part, as much as we don't like it, the government governs the internet in some way, shape or form. Unfortunately, there are a bunch of people in their 70s to 80s who've never even touched a computer. Like, you can see this in some of Zuckerberg's trials, where the government does not know how the internet functions in general. So as a global thing, the internet is very difficult to actually moderate. That's like saying having the government step in and moderate the darknet. But people don't realize the darknet isn't a separate place. It's just you have to access it through Tor or an onion router. It's something that's not very feasible. With government, it wouldn't be. It would come down to something more of VRChat itself. But even VRChat, there are a small group of people trying to maintain servers and improve the quality of this game. I've actually met Tupper once in Tube, which was actually pretty damn cool, that he was coming to one of the community events, and I just happened to be there, and he didn't just happen to be there. That's quite interesting. But to a sense, you can't feasibly have people running around 24/7 trying to be everywhere 24/7. It's the same with decentralization of the internet. Look at Pirate Bay, for example. They took down the creators of Pirate Bay. Well, one of them, the other, kind of ran for a while until they took them down, but Pirate Bay continues to progress. No matter what, even if you take down VRChat servers, someone's going to start self-hosting it. It's like cutting off the head of a hydra. I don't think there's largely any way for a group of individuals to moderate it. It's, as you said before, touched on before, it's up to the community more than anything. I think a bigger issue is teaching people safety on the internet, which ironically, the person teaching me internet safety had pictures on their website of me, which I'm very glad about.
To be honest, the lack of moderation is what's cool, and that's what kind of makes everything like a more of a free-to-play sandbox thing. I mean, look at YouTube when it first started. It was bare bones Wild West when it first came out in like 2005. I remember it had the 5-star ranking system. It was a different time to be alive. Like, yeah, there's a lot more stuff that went on, but it definitely had a lot more cool stuff. Like, you could watch Dragon Ball Z without worrying about ads or copyright or whatever. Yes, things need to be monitored, but at the same time, like that Wild West era, I don't know, I would say enjoy it while it lasts.
I will say, yeah, it is a bit of a problem, because there is a lot of weird things on here and bad things, but there's the good and the bad. There's also all these crazy good things like sign language communities and language communities and dance communities and more. But I think that Wild West is part of that chaotic beauty that I appreciate so much of it. That untouched, what's it called? Like just creativity, this space to just blow up into whatever it can be, whatever it wants to be, and without any big company or big presence kind of coming in and just limiting what can and can't be done.
Yeah, so of course their moderation is going to be poor because they only got like a couple people actually doing community managing. And it was so bad before they implemented EAC. Like they were like bombarded with cheater complaints. Like all the client users, they were all in murder force and everybody was like complaining. So they thought like, hey, we should add EAC, which was not a good idea this early in the game. I don't even know if you call it game. So yeah, VRChat's moderation has been kind of helped. I've seen them improving a bit.
They can't just do wide range moderation. That wouldn't be feasible. I mean, look at what happened with the EAC update. Look at the backlash there. The Steam reviews are pretty shit. I don't think it was warranted. I think it was a little bit of pettiness. That's a little bit of pettiness. But I get why a lot of people did it because there's some negative reviews of it that were like actually serious about, I can't play VRChat now because the stuff I use is a client, because some people are like deaf and stuff, so they can't really hear someone's trying to get their attention, and they use the clients like tap sensors on their avatar's shoulders. And then I know the community manager, I think his name is Tupper. I don't know, don't quote me on that, but I know the community manager for VRChat got a lot of hate against him too. Even though he was just a messenger, if they try to do something like that again, it would be even worse. It would give more people a reason just to leave, not come back. I mean, I know a lot of people who left because of the security update and stuff, and it kind of hurt, I would think if they're going to do something, they would have to do it very carefully. I think that the self-moderation works for the time being, but I don't think it's going to work forever.
The lack of moderation is kind of true because I don't know how VRChat actually moderates their game aside from, I remember when there was this huge drama about the client and zero tolerance against modders. Let's say that sometimes the modding community had its rights and it didn't deserve to die like that. They were willing to actually help VRChat flaws and cover them with with the modded clients. I know it's bad. I think the modding community of VRChat did well, as it did bad sometimes. Sometimes there were malicious people, and some good people. But as for now, the moderation, I don't know what to say about it. I don't see any moderators playing the game that often. I don't know how active they are, if they even are active at all.
You can report somebody, but how much is that actually going to get through? I mean, you can block them, but that's about it. But everybody else is going to continue to do it. So it's pretty much you can say or do anything in here, and you have no rules. But for the most part, it's friendly. I don't think there should be they shouldn't take it as far as like Call of Duty, where you automatically get banned if somebody reports you. I don't think that should be happening. But like far as they should get better virus protectors, because people are getting, like I say, kicked out or lagging, or you can't move because somebody's put a mod in here that keeps you from doing that. But that other than that, it's just freedom of speech.
I think Facebook handled it better with where they have kind of local and global Facebook accounts, in which if you're verified under 18, then you're actually only allowed to mix with minors, which I don't get why VRChat can't instigate them in some ways, but on the other, it makes sense because they would need standalone servers and they're still in early access. When you're in that position, or your position where you're kind of like, I'm in a shitty position, I'm coming on here to find someone in VRChat to look after me, to make my life better. It's very deterministic on who you run into first and your mentality. And that's where kind of safety and setting comes in, down to the parents. The parents being more involved, understanding the children's life, what they're doing, and making sure they're making good decisions. Interestingly enough, I've lived quite a sheltered life until I come on here, and I've realized a lot more people than myself have schizophrenia and BPD. I knew they were out there, but they kind of come out of the woodworks on VRChat. And coming from a place of BPD, one of the known tendencies of that is to throw yourself towards danger, basically. Go into anything that's going to cause you some form of trouble. And a lot of people come on here mistakenly viewing VRChat as a dating game. It wasn't in the old days, but now it is. Like, you can throw a stick in the air and I kid you not, you'll find someone who is in a relationship. There are people who manipulate, and it's all up to helping people kind of understand that, recognize red flags, and even better, when you recognize flags, don't do what I do and go, but the flags look so pretty when the rest of my life is on fire.
The only thing they really have, that the VRChat team have, is a bot that randomly join worlds to see if people are behaving. I don't know exactly what they're checking, probably checking for crashers and stuff. I don't really know how. It just joined the world. It's called Super Hornet something. And then it just stand there and I guess it checks users for a few seconds and then it pop out. If you are in a public world, the best thing is to make sure you can't see any players' avatars, and only those you speak with, those you turn on. Otherwise, you have a big risk of being crashed.
There is moderation, but it's more like a community type of thing. So people watch out for each other, and it's not like... Well, there's not a lot of actual moderators. You can definitely say that. So officially, yes, there's not a lot of moderation. It kind of looks like a Lawless place.
Honestly, I won't deny the harsh reality that a lot of things can go unsupervised, and and bad things do happen here. But I also think it's the best format to kind of keep on going with the chaotic freedom and chaotic beauty of its existence itself. Because one thing I look at back then is, for example, kind of YouTube. If you remember way back, before a lot of monetization or any of that happened, people can make off money doing anything and posting anything they want. And again, it had its really, really bad stuff. No. But again, people could do whatever they like, be some really gory graphic animatic or something like that, whatever mature themes you want to touch on, and still make a revenue out of that. And then there was monetization came in, and then they kind of screwed up a lot of people, a lot of animators, a lot of content creators from mature audiences.
Kindness is contagious. When you are kind, you inspire others. Be the spark. Spreading kindness merchandise available now.